Peace to the gang, and welcome to Quit the Cat Podcast. Peace to the gang, and welcome back to Quit the Cat Podcast.
Yes, sir.
It's your boy BP, alongside the Bishop,
Yes,
coming
sir.
to you live from Bang Bang Fitness Center here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And
Yes.
today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is the podcast host of Don't Overthink It podcast.
Okay.
He's an entrepreneur as well as a true hip-hop purist and enthusiast. And as you can see here, he also does apparel as well.
Okay.
We have my boy, Jonathan Aquino, correct?
Aquino. Yep.
Aquino, a.k.a. Dominican Johnny.
Yes, coño.
¿Cómo está, bebé? Yes, sir.
Ahorita, coño.
But before we get into this, we got to do a quick vibe check. Bishop, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling growing, bro.
Feeling growing?
Growing, bro.
That's excellent,
Pause.
man.
Yeah.
No, we ain't going.
Okay.
We growing.
We don't play the pause game.
Yeah, we growing.
We gonna keep growing.
That's right.
But yeah, we understand.
Yeah.
Johnny, how you feeling today?
All right. Yeah, I fly off with the joke, so
You good, bro?
pardon.
Have
I had a
fun.
time.
You good, bro?
Have fun.
You good?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm
Okay.
good. You know what I mean? Just running around and trying to learn some pointers from you guys because so far on my podcast, I only do audio. I haven't done video yet.
Okay.
Welcome to the video side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you gonna love it. You gonna love it.
Yeah. We have some guests coming down in the next month that
Okay.
we definitely gonna record that and
Okay.
you know.
All right, so we about to get into that
Yeah.
real
How you
quick.
feeling, V?
Hey man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling sexy. You know what I mean? Just shit that you gotta feel it for yourself. You know what I mean? So that's how I'm feeling right now.
Yes, sir.
So let's get into this, man.
What's up?
Welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
I know
Welcome
this is
to Quit the Cap.
this is. I'm not the one that's gonna be doing all the talking, or
Nah, so what
No,
we
you
do,
about to.
So what we
About
do,
to.
yeah, 'cause you
but I'm usually the one with the
Yeah,
questions,
yeah,
so this
you
is
on
gonna
here,
be
this
new.
is for
This
you.
is new for me.
Yes, so what we like to do, because it'll be new for me as far as the listeners too, to get to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Harrisburg original, or where you came from, or where your people came from, just tell us how you got to where you're at in the position you are. Because if you're an entrepreneur, it took a way to get here and things that you've been through. So we
Yes,
like
sir.
to just get familiar, so that way we can know you more. And as the podcast go, we understand more about you as we get there.
Yeah, like I would So basically, you're saying like an origin story.
Yeah,
That's how I say
yeah.
it.
That's
I refer
how
to
we go.
comic books. Yeah, origin story. And then if you're going
Yeah.
for tangents, that's
Yeah.
that's
go
kind of
ahead.
like how I run my joint. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably older than both of y'all, ain't I?
No,
I don't know.
Shoot
You older than
shot,
me.
I was born in '78.
though. I'm 79.
Oh, we right there. We right there on the
Yeah,
cusp.
yeah.
You the same age as my brother then.
Okay.
So yeah, born in '78. Both Dominican parents. Born in Lynn, Massachusetts. So,
Okay.
but when I tell people that I'm from up there, I have to say Boston because if you say Lynn, you'd be like, "Where the hell is that?"
That's like
You
saying
know?
Harrisburg. You like
Yeah.
from Philly.
Yeah, from Philly.
Okay.
Similar.
Even till
Yeah.
this day up there, they
Yeah.
still say Philly.
Yeah.
They still think it's
that's
Philly.
the capital. That's so crazy. I
That's-
hear that's
that's
other
what I'm saying.
places though, because I've been
Really?
places where I'll be like, I'm from the capital of Pennsylvania. They be like Philly.
Philly. Like nah,
Yeah.
that's
Who
not
did you go
it.
to?
Yeah.
Because what?
They
Yeah,
don't
but
teach all
see,
states and capitals.
And you-
nah, they don't.
Yeah.
And then, but the funny thing is, when people think of Pennsylvania, and this is coming from an out of towner perspective, so even though I've been here long enough, but it's usually like they look at it as like Pittsburgh, Philly,
And that's it.
Alabama, 1962.
Yeah.
absolutely. That's real
You'd
talk.
be how surprised it is,
Right.
like how you think of Philly as this like city of brotherly
Yes.
love and advanced and all that, and
Yeah.
then Pittsburgh, I don't even know what they think of Pittsburgh, to be
I
honest
don't
with
know
you.
either.
Yeah, I never heard anybody talk about Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so I grew up in Lynn, Massachusetts. It was about half hour up the highway from Boston.
Okay.
So I grew up Dominican parents, so grew up reading, writing Spanish.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But the only time I really spoke Spanish was when I was talking to my parents. So, and I grew up in. So you're in the church because you said a prayer before we started and everything. Or that's just you just do that.
Yeah.
You're just spiritual. All right.
Yeah. But
We're
you
gonna have a
you
debate
go-
about that one because, well, not really a debate, but I grew up a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
So I grew up in that all the way up until about, but when I moved up here, when I got tall enough to where my mom's ass whoopings didn't hurt anymore, I
Okay.
stopped going.
Okay.
But after that, it makes you question a lot of that
Okay.
after that mind fuck. But yeah, so grew up over there, Spanish parents, Spanish music. Closest thing we get into anything secular was Michael.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then when she heard that he was like a Jehovah's Witness on the low, my mom got even happier.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Pops, he was every other year. Pops, he'd be there 1 year, then he'd be gone. You won't see him for 2 years, and come back in, hang out for a little bit, then he'd be gone another 2 years and shit. But
you know what's funny? Let me interjecting it right.
Go ahead.
Because I've been to Massachusetts.
All right.
And what I had realized that I didn't know that a lot of things in Massachusetts were discovered by the Spanish. I was up there. I seen there was a lot. I was like, wait, this is more like it was.
Oh, you talking about the people?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, you
yes.
got that right. Yeah.
Yes.
But Lynn, Massachusetts is a big mix like that.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was
one of the towns.
Yeah,
Where were you at?
I was up. I was towards the top. And I was at the very top because we was
Lawrence. Let me see. Not Lawrence. Swampscott, Nahan.
in college. I'm about to tell you what college it was. And my
Salem
mom
State.
She would have a fit because my mom graduated up there.
Oh, man.
Salem State North Shore College.
I know we was a couple feet from
New Hampshire.
Yes.
Probably right there.
Yeah.
Then it's had to be somewhere probably by Lawrence or Haverhill or something like that.
It was New Hampshire University.
Okay, and it's probably right there because where terminology's from, Lawrence, you drive 10 minutes up the highway, you're in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Oh, really?
So
Like
it's
that
right there on the border.
Okay.
Right there. So it's really connected, but it's more long, pause, than it is. I played a pause game. I'm sorry.
It's all good, Joe.
You know what I mean? But as far as up there, like, you know, Harrisburg, when I came here, it was a culture shock because here it's 95% black, then the rest of it's other.
Yeah.
Whereas up there, it's about 45% black, 30% white. The rest is all Spanish, Cambodian, Laos, Greek, everything. And, you know, and they distinguish themselves from white.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like I always tell, I told BP a couple times too. Like when I first came here, it was like frowned upon or something to talk to a white girl. Around that time, though, we're talking about 1991.
It was a different time.
Harrisburg Middle School, when it was the prison over there. That when you think about it, when you think about house, that's like juvie.
Yeah.
So when he came here, it was like they would look at you like, ew, you talk to a white girl. I wasn't talking to a white girl, but I'm just saying, I noticed that's what the play was, where up there it's more diverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every kid I went to school with dated a white girl, started from the rip.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But that culture shock was crazy up there, but when I came here. But the aspect over there in the 80s when everything changed and shit, so me and you were the same age, so roughly around 3rd, 4th grade, shit started changing around in my household because my dad and my older brother, they got on drugs.
Okay.
But my brother was a teenager when the crack era first hit. So he's a couple years older than me, so to him, he was just trying the new freebase, just trying the new shit. Okay. Wow. They didn't know that it was going to be
what it was.
Take a bite out of
That's so when you that's and I don't want to say big, but that's
that's
a time in history that they try to.
People were affected by that, and to see something that was unfamiliar to you, you come here and then it's like, because I remember the era when it became
heavy.
When it became that.
Yes.
It became heavy. That was
and my older brother, he's doing life now. He's doing life, and he kind of feels bad because he's the one that put my dad onto it. Because in that time, that's just the new shit. It's just like these kids with these perks. They don't know the long-term effects. They're just trying the new shit.
Right.
And then that's where the hip-hop shit kind of, in hindsight, I see it. Whereas
I don't want you to speed off for me.
Oh, go ahead.
We got the chill, bro.
I go.
We got the chill.
I'm scatterbrained. Yeah, that's all. If you have to pump my brakes and say,
I'm pumping your brakes.
Pause. But
yes. We have to, because I am trying to. So we got a family. So this is what I got.
Okay.
We got a family.
Yeah, I tend to run them out.
You're good. You got a family that has moved here. And like everyone, the drug epidemic has affected your household. So now we're now the dynamics in your household is changing because now we are witnessing something that is stronger and starting to cripple a family. And how was that?
At the time, I'm 8, 9 years old. So I don't know. So 78.
Right.
So we talking about 87. I'm 9.
Okay.
So I'm slowly noticing things change in the household. Like I was telling him, sometimes we'd come home from Kingdom Hall, and we'd find like the Pepsi bottles, the bigger Pepsi bottles of this, with a burnt big stem, one of those pen stems, be burnt into it. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what the fuck that was. I was like, and why the fuck the house smell like burnt plastic?
Yes.
And then why shit start missing all of a sudden? And why we getting lesser and lesser and lesser clothes? And I didn't know that it was crack. I didn't know what none of that shit was. It was just, everything just started changing. I'd see my dad, he'd be awake for like 3 days in a row. Like I come home from school, he awake. I go to sleep, he awake. I wake up, he awake. Then then he'd be asleep 3 days straight from like Monday to Thursday. He'd just be on the couch, dead. Like I come home from school, come back, he's still on that same position.
What was Mom Dukes doing during the time?
She was Jehovah's Witness.
So she was just believing in her faith.
She was a J-Dub, the J-Dub.
So she just was just blinders on, just trusted in Jehovah.
Yes. Any Saturday morning, you would catch me knocking on your door, you know, slanging watchtowers.
So did he used to go, or was he not a part of?
He was never really into that. He was never really into that shit. He would do it to get GP points with my mom every now and then, like throwing a suit every once in a blue and go. But nah, she was strict with us with that. If we missed that, if we missed one meeting, that was your ass.
Really? So it's three brothers.
3 brothers, 1 sister.
Okay.
So she the oldest one, so she got more preferential treatment.
Okay.
But see, she was a hustler. She knew how to play the game quicker. She knew, like, all right, I can get away with whatever I want as long as I go to Kingdom Hall all the time and act like I'm participating into it. So she milked that shit. So she became Mom's favorite.
Okay.
Whereas my older brother, he was the one that got into the crack and shit. Yes. I remember one time we went to drop him off Eastern Junior High School, and y'all call them middle schools, but up there, 7th and 8th grade is junior high.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how you said.
We definitely said junior high.
Yeah. So I remember one time we dropped him off, right? She knew this motherfucker was gonna skip, so we drove around the block, and literally we was driving around the block. He was already halfway down the street.
Wow.
He had already walked in the school. Walked out the school. No, walked right out the front.
Walked back out the front.
Yo, he didn't care. And went right back in there. So, like, you know what I mean? He was already gone.
Where were y'all living when you first moved in here? Uptown? The hill?
Nah, we actually moved down here because my aunt, Marcos, Mark 7. You know Mark 7, the rapper?
Yeah. Okay.
That's my cousin.
Okay.
That's my first blood cousin.
Okay.
His mom told my mother, like, hey, I know y'all struggling up there. Y'all should move down here. It's cheaper. The second she heard cheaper, we out.
Okay.
That was it. I was going. I went to school up there all the way up until 7th grade, Pickering Junior High School.
So you just got here and got thrown in the zoo.
In the zoo, and I wasn't.
It wasn't nothing like that up there. It was chill.
It was more chill, and it wasn't. And when you grew up with everybody,
you knew everybody.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I didn't have to be that street smart as I was here. I wasn't quick like that. I was kind of slow for real.
Yeah.
By Harrisburg standards, I was mad slow. So get thrown into slick talking motherfuckers, and then whole new slang, going from like a whole diverse school to, like I said, 90% black. And then like one token white kid that think he black, and then the rest is all like a couple Puerto Ricans here and everything. Y'all didn't even know what Dominicans were when I moved in. All right, y'all Harrisburg cats. When I came into middle school, I was so quiet that I didn't say, like, they didn't know I spoke Spanish at all.
Okay.
Because they were just like, oh, you light skin.
Okay.
Towards the end of that 8th grade year, I'd say around the time when Jump came out. I document everything with HipHop.
Yeah, that's cool.
I use that as my marker.
So we were in middle school together.
Yes, I was in house 1.
Okay, I was in house 1. Yep.
Fuck you.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. I was in house 1.
I was in house 1. I was with Tone, Anthony Cooper, Mike Green. Nah, Hassan. I was with Hassan Green.
Okay, yeah.
I was with all of them. Lindell.
Okay.
All of them cats. I was in like section, what was it, 187. That's funny, it's 187 now. Go figure that, yeah.
Okay. So I was then.
They used with my brother.
Yeah. So then when you went to house 8, I was in house 1 because I was in there with Damone and a couple other people, but I know my street name. So
my brother, my brother Nick then was probably in the same grade as you then, because he was in 7th.
Right?
Yeah.
Real highly.
Yeah, and then he's a little shorter than me. And then when he was out ripping and running out here, he had braids.
Okay. How was
That transition?
adjusting? Yeah. So where were y'all living? Uptown? The
Nah,
South?
Stilton. Marcus's mother lived in Stilton. My aunt.
Okay.
She lived in Stilton, so we were shacking up with them while we found an apartment. So that was a
Right.
tough 2 to 3 weeks too. That was the first time I ever heard
So how
of.
did y'all end up at Still High? How did y'all end up all the way at the middle school?
Because when my mother, I guess, found an apartment, she found an apartment 1823 State Street.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So
Okay. So
yeah,
from the hood.
we were
Yeah.
mesmerized that there's an island in the middle of the city and you can go and play golf. And to us, that was like, wow,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
But when I got down here, it was the first time I ever heard the word fair one. I
Okay.
never heard that. They don't
Yeah.
use that up there. If you
Yeah.
wanted to scrap, you just.
Yeah.
So I remember his
So you
cousin.
wanted to ask where you just still on somebody?
Or up there, if you wanted to fight, you wanted to fight
Okay,
somebody.
okay.
Like, yo, let's get it. You know what I
was
mean?
like, dang, y'all just hooking off.
Yeah, nah, it wasn't.
Go ahead,
It
though.
depends, but
Yeah.
it was more diverse. That's what I'm saying. And then I remember his cousin Marvin and shit. He's my man now and shit. He was like, "Yo, what's up, man? Give me the fair one." I was like, "Give you the what?" I didn't know what the fuck he meant.
Right.
So I was like, "Oh, hold up." This is like, nah, that means he wants to fight you. I was like, "Oh,
Okay.
whatever." So we didn't end up fighting though and shit because we all family
Yeah.
pretty much. But it was getting too much. It was getting too hectic with us. First, it was me and my brother because my sister, she had stayed up in Boston for a while. My younger brother, when I got on drugs,
Okay.
he's the older brother.
Okay.
He was in jail, in and out of up there is DYS. Y'all call it what? When you in juvie,
Oh.
juvie up here.
I
Yeah,
don't
y'all
know.
call it
Locked-
juvie.
locked up.
Juvenile? I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah, locked
we call
up,
it.
yeah.
We up there is called DYS. This
Okay.
something youth services,
Okay.
but detention youth
Delinquent-
services.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Something like that, yeah. So it was just me, my mother, and my brother, my
Okay.
younger brother. So we moved 1823 State Street, first day of middle school. I have on some blue suede LA Gears. I remember that shit like it was
Oh,
yesterday.
man.
I didn't know shit about dressing or nothing. I was still like, kind of like still a little kid where
Okay.
y'all was more
Yeah, yeah,
advanced up this
right.
bitch. So, yeah, can I curse?
Yeah, you been cursing.
I know, right? Because
We ain't got to bleep
you
it out.
threw me off with the prayer, so because now I'm thinking like I'm imagining a cross on
No,
top of your head
Uh-huh.
because you let off with the prayer.
This ain't a Christian podcast. so
That's what I'm thinking though, because you let off with the prayer.
I don't know if you
But
can
nah,
have
So
it on
you
here.
attach prayer to religion?
Yes.
You attach it to any?
After the mind fuck that I went through the first
Okay.
13 years of my life, yes.
What was that?
Yeah,
what was that like to you?
Yeah, I don't.
What was what?
What was because you keep calling it a mind fuck. What was your experience with that?
All right. Do you know what it's like growing up a Jehovah's Witness?
No, absolutely
No.
not.
Okay.
No,
I just
no.
shut the door.
Yeah.
See, there you go. A lot of that. A lot of that. A lot of that. So, yeah, like I said, at any given time on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning, we was forced to get up and knock
Here they
on
come.
your door.
Oh,
Here they
shit, they
go.
We
come.
was forced to knock on your door, and then now I come to find out too that a couple other cats that I was in 8th grade with, they were J Dubs too. They just didn't say because they were embarrassed too.
Yeah, nobody.
They were just embarrassed as me.
Yeah.
So, and in the Spanish congregation too, it's literally like when they say it's cult like,
Mm.
they're not playing.
Right, right.
All right. So, if you miss a meeting, and it's called the Kingdom Hall, you go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, right? Tuesday and Thursdays in the evenings. Sundays it's in morning to afternoon, right? If you miss one of them, you're a drug dealer. You're on the streets doing bad. You were just doing whatever.
Oh, they condemned you to hell immediately.
I'm 7.
Yeah. That's why I ain't
You know what I mean?
church, though.
It's a gossip circle. So
I
think
ain't
about
like
it.
that.
All right, the cult like that part of it.
Yes.
Then on top of that, Spanish people gossiping, you know,
Yeah.
bochinches left and right and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Bochinches snitch for y'all
Okay.
that don't know. But so if you miss a meeting, you're doing something bad. If you get caught out after 8 o'clock, you're doing something bad.
Okay.
Anything that you do that ain't within that block,
Okay.
you're doing something bad.
Okay.
Anything you do that with worldly people, we call it la gente del mundo. So Spanish lesson. Y'all gonna get a Spanish lesson on this.
Yeah, I see. We learning mad
On this
Spanish.
podcast, you're gonna learn a lot of Spanish slang because a lot of the stuff from when I was younger,
Okay.
I only spoke about it in Spanish.
Okay.
So like when I say La Atalaya, I didn't know that meant the watchtower in English for Jehovah's Witness until I got older.
Okay.
Because anything that I learned in that was in Spanish.
Okay. Okay.
So I learned to read the Bible in Spanish.
Okay.
I had to read all those watchtowers, or at least act like I was reading them in Spanish.
Okay.
But that's one thing I give my mom. She taught me how to read and write in Spanish.
Okay.
Quick.
Awesome. Dope.
Still do it to this
Okay.
day. You know what I
Okay.
mean? But so anything you did when it came to that. But then you throw in on top of that too the colorism thing, and this is something that y'all probably don't know because y'all think okay y'all black and everything, but you know y'all have the light skin, dark skin.
Oh no, I heard
and all
about
that.
it in the Spanish community.
The Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, that's Bloods and Crips.
So y'all been infiltrated with
the colorism,
with
worldly things, man.
Yeah.
Worldly things. You can't fight.
We ain't gonna call it worldly. That's European.
The whites.
There we
that's
go.
what I call it. The
European.
That's a construct from them.
Yes. So you throw that in too
Yes.
because Lynn, mind you, we ain't too far from Boston.
Yes.
It's still racist as fuck. When my best friend from 3rd grade till this fucking day, Italian dude, I remember his mom back in the day, they were like, these fucking niggas, da-da-da. And I'm like, and I'm not, it's not registering that she's talking about me. Because I'm Dominican and I've been raised Dominican. I wasn't raised only black or only this or only that. Like, I didn't know.
We all the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know none of that. All I knew is we was Dominican. We spoke Spanish, so we're different in a sort of way. The Greek kids are different. The Chinese kids, they smell it. They have a certain odor to them.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
The Greek kids, they spoke their own little language. So everybody was separated. And this is the thing when I found the difference between Harrisburg and up there as far as school systems go and everything.
Yes.
Down here, if y'all whoop a white boy's ass, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Up there, they're coming with 5 other Italian Irish kids to bust your ass, and we got That's the one thing I noticed when I came down here. I was like, oh, so if the
it's
white
like
boy in the class,
real.
the white boy kind of gets punked, then that's it. There's no repercussion.
Right.
Whereas up there, if you fight with one of them louse kids, they're coming back with 8 of them with sticks to fuck you up. And you're going to have a big Royal Rumble, a clash.
Okay.
So that was one thing that was always weird when I came down here. I was like, all right, black rule everything up down here. Okay. You know what I mean?
And that's just in the city, because once you get outside the city limits,
I didn't know any better.
At that point
like, to me, walking from State Street across that bridge to the Capitol and seeing that big old building, and like, cause this is the Capitol.
Yeah.
Whereas Lynn was just a small town. You know what I mean? There wasn't no big Capitol building like that. And everything you got around, you got, like, we didn't have to take no school buses to school. Everything was in walking distance. It's a very small town, but very, very mixed. And then this is another thing, too. I don't appreciate that shit. I wish I would have when I was younger. The beach was 3 blocks that way, and I never went.
Oh, my goodness.
Like,
and you was hype about the island in the middle of the neighborhood.
No, but it's funny because...
And y'all got miniature golf right there?
You came in. It's funny. To me, it feels like a lot of
That's why I got the Boston hat, too, by the way.
People were migrating here in the city of Harrisburg during that time.
Yeah,
because we had got invaded. I ain't going to say invaded.
Damn, slave owner.
I'm talking about like New Yorkers.
You colonizers are coming in to take our property.
New Yorkers started coming in. It started being a mixture. Like, we didn't know, like, New Yorkers started coming in.
And y'all had problems with that. I'll tell you.
Philly started, so at first it was like New Yorkers coming in, and then Philly people started coming in, and then it started becoming a mixture. So even for us, it wasn't just people from Harrisburg. Like, you started seeing the mixture of people.
Both of you were born and raised here, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's why. Okay. Yep. And then New Yorkers, I remember at that time, they were segregated. They were confined to 13th and Market.
Yep.
And we lived on 13th and State, so we didn't know about any of that until 93. 93, 9th grade, John Harris, not Harrisburg High for y'all. We moved over there off of 13th and Dairy now.
Okay.
My mom's bought a house off of one of the J-Dubs, so we were right over there. You know where the YWCA is now? Yeah. Before, that was just a big empty mansion. So at that little dead end right there in front of it, I lived right there, and I grew up with Tatito.
Okay, before they
and Shayla and all that. Yeah, before they rebuilt all that, we moved there, and then that's when I started seeing certain things. And my brother happened to get out of jail at that time, so he moved in with us. So that's when I started seeing things change again too.
Let me ask you that. So did you kind of? Because I say, like, did you run into, I'm going to say, your people? Like, did you start
any Dominicans? Absolutely not. We were literally one of 2 Dominican families.
And majority Spanish.
You're going to know who I'm talking about when I say it, because she was the only Dominican. Aleda Nunes and Randy Nunes.
I'm going to have to see him.
If you see him, you're going to be like, oh, they were the only other Dominicans. And I still remember this to this day. I can't believe this shit. When towards the end of the year, like I said, I said something in Spanish to the one girl, Christina. And then all the black kids was like, oh, you speak Puerto Rican? No, I speak Spanish.
Right.
But they didn't know. And they was like, well, what? So you mixed? And I was like, no, I'm Dominican. They was like, what's that? They didn't know what Dominicans were either,
Right.
so I had to play National Geographic on the map in
Okay,
social studies
yeah.
class. Like, there's Puerto Rico. See this thing right here that's split with Haiti? That's Dominican Republic.
Right.
Okay.
And we speak Spanish and we look black or whatever. But
Oh yeah, all
so,
we knew back then was Puerto Ricans. Like,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
I
So
didn't
they
even know
said
a lot
you
of
speak Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I didn't even know a lot of Puerto Ricans. I knew like one.
3. Or if
I
that.
knew one.
My
Yeah.
cousin came up here from down south in the 90s. He was
Let's
like,
talk about that. Go ahead.
he was like, there's Spanish people up here? I was like, you never seen any?
Yeah.
Because he from VA, so like, and there what, like people.
Oh,
that
really?
visit-
There's not, like-
yeah. When he came up here, he was like, I said, dude, they're Spanish.
Yeah,
like, he
yeah.
was like, wait,
Yeah.
there's Spanish people?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't know
Yeah,
nothing
and then
about
when
it.
you think of Spanish, you only think Mexicans.
Nah,
No, I thought
nah,
I thought Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
eventually
It
you started
depends where
seeing
you
more
at.
Mexicans, and now
Yeah.
I see a lot more Dominicans than I've ever seen
Yes.
Yeah.
ever before. You know what I'm
Great.
saying? You see
Yes.
Dominicans.
That's another thing I meant to ask y'all. Y'all said a lot of people came here from New York and Philly. What I noticed is people came up from the South, or all of y'all grandparents and shit was from the South.
Oh yeah, my
Yeah,
people. So
That's what I'm
mom-
saying,
my
the
mom-
original-
Yes, my mom is
Yeah.
from my mom's family. We from VA. We from
Yeah.
Newport
Gotcha.
News.
Oh,
and then my
shit.
dad's people is from Macon, Georgia. And
Okay.
then when they came up here, they was in Carlisle. And then my mom came out. That's how she met.
But that's what I noticed too. Like, there's a lot of people from the South come up here. Like, I would have never known who Scarface of the Ghetto Boys was, UGK was,
Yeah.
if I wouldn't have moved
yeah,
here.
like
I would have never known none of that shit.
was
Yeah,
so
we did have a
that-
heavy
when
down
that-
south
so
influence.
That's
this-
what I'm saying. Yeah.
So that was an era. That's funny you said that because that era, and we grew up. So when music at that time, since we want to talk hip hop, at
Yeah.
this time, for us, like, and I'm gonna say for me, and even in my
Your circle.
generation of people. So we at the time, you had Criss Cross, you had ABC, Another Bad Creation.
OPP had just came out
Yeah.
when I came up here.
So then it started getting a little
Tribe.
bit. Yeah. So at first you had, because I was a Big L fan, and then you had
Yeah.
Tribe Called Quest, De
Yeah.
La Soul. So then it didn't start getting territory into the music that you listen to because as
I
the
know
New
where you're
Yorkers
going with
started
it.
coming here,
I know where you're going.
it
Go
started
ahead.
being a switch from not being allowed to listen
It's
to
only
New
East
York
Coast,
music.
yeah.
So it was like East, like it wasn't even so much. It started being diverse. Like we fool with pop, you know what I mean? And it was that division because I always liked Big L, Onyx,
Yep.
all of those different things, and then it became this thing where it was like, oh, you can't listen. I was always listening to whatever I wanted, so it was like
Yeah.
you had to hide to listen to certain stuff because it wasn't.
I don't remember
because,
it being that difficult. but
It was
yeah.
for in my hood. I grew up in the ward. We only listened to Ghetto Boys.
The ward. Where's that?
That's Regina Street.
Okay,
18th
Regina. So we were 3 blocks from each other.
Yes, the Ghetto Boys,
For a little bit.
UGK, anything rap a lot, and then it was Master
Yeah.
P.
Because I remember y'all was heavy on Big Mike when he first dropped his first
Big
album.
Mike, Master
he
P,
joined the Ghetto
all
Boys.
those things. So it was
Yeah.
that was the music, and then it started to, bodies were dropping, things were happening, and it was that diverse.
Y'all hated New York niggas. I
Growing,
swear
yeah,
to God.
it was so crazy. So it was
I hated
like
New York.
I had to ride around and secretly listen to Nori, listen to
See, but by that time you were
Yeah.
already pretty much
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
school though.
Yeah, so we
I
were-
graduated in '96. You was '97 then,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So then by that time, this is a Harrisburg thing to ask you. What song was you bumping when you pulled up to your prom?
I ain't go to prom.
Neither did I, but I heard that everybody was playing "If I Rule the World" because that just came out.
Yeah, that I rule the world, and I would say for me, at that time, I would say
See, but then how did
I still was
y'all was still deep in y'all
I
South
was
shit?
a Master P. I was embedded, and then I was embedded in Hot
Yeah,
Boys. and-
Y'all love the ghetto.
Yeah,
Y'all love the
yeah.
Ghetto Boys. It made me start liking them. Like when I
Yeah.
heard "Pocket Full of Stones" and all that, I was like, okay.
Yeah, we was
they rhyme
listening to
different.
you Riding Dirty. Riding Dirty, I think we probably played for.
You're gonna kill me. I
Yeah.
never heard that album to this day.
Whoa.
I only know the very first one.
As a hip hop
The very
connoisseur,
first
Whoa.
the very first UGK album was. I'll quote you. A Pimp C. The 1 with a trigger, 2 with a bat, 3 big brothers, 4 want to squad with me. So I guess that one, dude. Tell me something good. That first UGK album.
Something good.
I know that whole song by heart. He had a big pause moment on that too.
Right.
Bun B said, "Hey yo, what's up with that bulge in your khakis?" I said, "Whoa."
Hey,
He's
yo,
talking about his gun.
I know.
Oh.
I know.
Jeez,
I was like, "Hey yo,
Yo,
nah."
that's
But
wild.
that, and you know, the only reason I was able to get so much hip hop when you live next door to the Muslim bootleg man, shout out to Shakur. I don't even know if he's still out there, man. If you are, good for you, man. You put me onto a lot of hip hop where it'd be side A, be side B, printed on side B and shit. So that's how I got put onto them, the Ghetto Boys. When I was in school, the main thing was everybody was singing Back in the Days on the Boulevard of Linden. Everybody was on that, and we got the jazz. Everybody was on that first Tribe. Then Tretch came out, and that was it. I still remember Tony Cooper. I remember Tone to this day. It was like, yo, Tretch is the best. Ain't nobody beating Tretch. Ain't nobody beating Tretch.
From Naughty by Nature. Tretch, he was the
first diverse. Yes.
No offense.
Nobody was beating him.
Tretch, if you see this dog,
nobody was beating the pockets and Tretch's flow and the way he could tongue twist rhymes and ride a beat. Nobody was beating Tretch. That first album.
What year
nobody.
Was this?
1991, 92. Yep. Where everything's going to be all right. Ghetto Bass. And then Uptown Anthem came out.
I was early in my hip-hop years, so I give you...
I was wearing the overalls.
I definitely had a...
I couldn't afford them.
I had a Dallas OPP hat. Somebody stole it from me at the skating rink. I'm very
that's when cross colors on it. I couldn't afford none of that shit. We was piss poor. I still remember this too. That's why I appreciate what I got
the shoes. I was about to say I had these since
no. When I came down, I remember when I grew up in 3rd grade, I had a pair of Pro-Am 2000, some broke shits. In 3rd grade, I didn't get another pair till 5th grade.
Damn! Oh shit!
That's how broke we was, man. The crack era, everything started disappearing. So whatever my mother worked for, it would get smoked up from my pops or my brother. So I had to prove to her that there was a hole in the bottom of them for her to buy me another pair. That's how fucked up we was.
People kind of dismiss how real the crack era is. Like,
they just ashamed of it. I'm not.
I mean,
it makes me who I am.
I understand it because I was in pretty much the same position as usual. I just in the suburbs with it, but it was the same shit. It didn't really, you know what I mean? You just get to live in a nicer neighborhood, but it's still fucked up when you get to the crib. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing too. When you're young like that, you don't know you're poor.
Nah, you don't.
Until you see otherwise. And that's one thing about Harrisburg. They will let you know if you're living fucked up or not. But it's like, but you live 2 doors down from me, so what the fuck does that make you?
Right.
It was more of that.
It's conditioning.
Yes, it's conditioning. The I'm better than you, even though we live in the same thing.
Either, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? And both our older brothers are in jail or selling crack or they're crackheads themselves. That's one thing I noticed when I moved here, and I don't know why that always stuck out for me. Like, why do so many of y'all live with y'all grandparents?
Yeah, that was heavy. Yeah.
And then I had to think of what the crack era was and all that. At least y'all had grandparents to lean on and shit. My mother, she just had to do it for Dolo.
Okay.
So that was one thing I noticed. Like everybody would always say, "Yeah, my grandma, whatever," or "I'll bring my mom up here to fight you." And I was like, "You're bringing your mother up there to fight?" It didn't register for me because my mom didn't carry herself on some ratchet shit like that. Where that's what I'm saying. There was a big culture shock coming here, and it was
How
like
was it for
shit.
her? Did she show
my mother?
Yeah.
She worked at, I don't know, once she found the Jehovah's Witness down here, that's it. So it was, they're the ones that probably talked her into moving over there with all the Spanish cats because we didn't know that Dairy Street and 13th from all those blocks that way, all the way up until you get to Paxton Street or even in the South, that's where a lot of the Spanish people was at. Yeah. We didn't know that.
Okay.
So maybe when she found that out, that's probably why we moved over that way. Right. But then we were dealing with that shit too, with the whole colorism too, because I don't look like the typical Romeo Santos Dominican. You know what I mean? I'm not tucking in my jersey and my, you know what I mean? I'm not wearing sandals. I don't have the good hair. You know what I mean? So to them too, we niggas. But we speak Spanish, but it's still the colorism thing. Even when I went to Dominican Republic, me, my brother, Marcos, and now you know what Marcos looks like. For those who don't know, my cousin Mark 7 is high yellow. Before he had a bald head and a big ass beard, he had curly blondish hair. So he looks like a white boy. They loved him over there. Because over there, the main thing you want to do is come over here and be white.
Yes, that's the
colorism thing is get citizenship, marry yourself a white man, come over here, and the lighter you are, the better off you are. Yeah. And that was a real big thing when I went to DR, the culture shock of that. But this is the funny thing too, though. They didn't like the hip-hop shit over there. They would call you, the statement back in the 90s was, "Tú eres un Joe." Like you're like an average Joe, like an American Joe. Like you wore the baggy pants and you know what I mean. I had like the 2X and the baggy pants. No, not a square. I was just like an American. Yeah, like an American hip hop on that black shit. On that black shit, you don't listen to Southside. You don't listen to reggaeton and all that.
Nut ass American.
Yeah. You know, I didn't. Yeah, y'all ready to laugh at me? All y'all gonna laugh at me too. I didn't know what reggae was. I didn't know what funk was. I didn't know George Clinton, Paul, none of that, because most of y'all knew that because it was in your household, correct?
Right.
Listen, I grew up, I'm telling you, I was a suburban kid.
Lionel Richie, but that's what I'm saying, all R&B. Yeah. I didn't know none of that. All I knew was Jose Luis Rodriguez, fucking watching even the soap operas and everything, because there was only one TV.
Right.
We had to watch what my mother watched or what my older sister watched, because my sister could scribe.
Right.
So we would
beating y'all up.
Yes, she would whoop your ass. She would fight niggas easily. She could stab, shot. She would fight.
Oh, she's a thug.
Yeah, she is a thug because she wasn't that attractive, so she could fight.
Yo, he's stupid.
She beats up boys.
Yo,
she beat up with my friend. My friend Vinny.
She wasn't that attractive, so she had.
Yeah, my friend Vinny tried to call her like a monkey one time, and she said, "Bop!" Popped him right in his eye. And she could have. And now, when you think about it, by today's standards, she could have gotten in trouble for that because she was already damn near 17, going on 18, and he was only in like 4th grade.
It's funny
she
because
bust his ass.
It's funny because people on the outside before before they come to the United States, they have this thing in their mind that they're going to go and be accepted by those that they admire.
Oh yeah, no.
And then you get here, and they put you in that same boat.
Yeah, and they don't like none of us.
Land of the free, home of the brave. That's the excuse. That when they wrote all that, the Constitution, they wrote that for the whites.
Well, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And then, but there's a lot of people from other companies, even like Asians, when they come here, they think that they're gonna get some superficial treatment, and they're not only to a certain extent or in their little Chinatown blocks, but when they get out of it, nah.
The sad thing is they don't know. They don't like nobody.
Yeah.
They don't even like themselves.
Yeah,
so it's like even with the Indians and too, they're staying with their little cliques, and even certain white cats. But then I don't know, man. That's one big clusterfuck, man.
People that been kissed by the sun, I don't think we get it.
Nah, they're jealous of this. This is you guys envy this. All you whites out there, you guys envy this. Some of y'all motherfuckers walking around.
The whites.
The whites. I have a real big thing about that because when you grew up there, I've seen a lot of racist,
I can imagine.
Colorish.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
That's why people be like, "Oh, down south." I be looking at them down south. You ain't been all the way up.
Yeah.
Listen,
Boston is bad though.
When I can imagine because in Virginia they racist. I'm like,
I heard West Virginia is bad too, though.
I'm over there. I don't know. Yeah,
they probably is.
But in VA, like it, you go down south and you've been even in Florida. I just be looking like, this is where it was racism, but up north racist. Y'all don't have.
It's kind of different.
It's different. Yeah,
it's kind of different. It's kind of different.
It's
but
super different.
Yeah. So moving along, though, when we moved here.
You got a Boston voice? Let me hear.
I don't pack the kind of yard. Nah. I never had that, though. Because that was more like a slang. That's more like an Irish slang and everything. Like, that's like white people's slang. Yeah. Even though some Boston cats up there, they had it like that. When I moved down here and I started just, I guess, coming into my own, I always got told I talk white. Just because I speak proper English. Yeah. But this is the funny thing. You know who's telling me that? The white boy that wants to be black with the tattoos and the braids and shit. Go figure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, motherfucker, you're a waste of white skin. If you don't get a haircut and go,
privilege.
If you don't go use that mandatory, that automatic 780 credit score, motherfucker, and shit. That's what I would keep saying. If I was ever to start a business in this city because of the self-hate here, I would put a white person as the face of it and just be the guy in the background. I would have to. Because think about it. All right, shout out to Music Man, shout out to Conrad Craig and all that. Y'all remember 717?
Yeah.
Formerly Vendettas, the 717. Yeah. Once they took ownership of that, then they started, over time, it was the shit. It was the shit. Yeah, then Stilton Police kept fucking with everybody, so people kind of didn't like it there. Yeah. So then they started going to, well, then you probably knew me then too, because I was going into I worked at the Music Man.
Okay.
With Dula.
Yeah.
I worked at the Music Man with Abdullah. That's my right hand man. That's my co-host.
Okay.
So, then they started going to Dragonfly. You remember this? You remember this too.
I had just got the Vendettas, turned 21.
Yeah.
I was happy about that.
Yeah, so then they would go down to Dragonfly, and then they would come into the music and be like, "Oh, y'all fell off. I was like, y'all will go to this club where there's literally a white man at the door looking at you guys like, you dirty fucking niggers. But I'm making money off y'all, so y'all niggas pennies that make my dollars."
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
The only reason I started going, because, like, they ran us out of Shane's. and then we had Shane's Flight
Deck,
and we had Vendettas, and they started messing with us there. And I caught I caught a charge at Vendettas, and my brother, they charged him, and he just was home from college. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I ain't coming down here.
They started getting...
Nobody like going through
I was like, I'm cool. That was it for me.
That was a unique system, though, when they did something masterfully. They said, we're going to get all the Spanish and the black people. We're going to put the reggaeton downstairs and put all the hip-hop shit upstairs. They had that shit on minute of that.
And then they do this on Friday was Spanish night.
On down the Fly? Shout out to the Fly. I miss that shit. That was my shit, nigga.
I'm too old now. I just be tired. I'm tired.
I'm cool. I couldn't do it today, but in my early 20s, that was my shit. I love that joint.
I think I Dragonfly from 2001 to 2008.
Yeah, the 50 Cent era, the throwback jersey era. But then that's the thing. Yeah. You can't wear jerseys. You can't wear hats.
Everybody was white teed out. It was white tees, and we wanted
and then they said no more white tees.
And then you had to go to button ups because Jay-Z was like, we wear button ups. So everybody put these big, ugly.
Can we talk about that?
These Anishi button ups on. Them shits was trash. They was baggy as
hell. Stuff just to fit in.
Yeah, shit was dumb. They had cuff links for no reason.
That really says something about the power of this hip hop shit, yo. It just takes one Brooklyn cat just to say that. And everybody was following, unless you were your own person.
Yeah, not me. I
couldn't afford Mitchell and S jersey.
I broke the rules everywhere I went.
Word.
I got in with whatever. People used to be like, "How did you get in here with that on?" Dude, my sister was at the door.
Oh.
So my sister Sharon, so when she was running security, when she
Sharon
switched from,
Howard.
She switched from down Vendettas and she came down there. I was
She's my homegirl to this day.
Yep.
Shout out Sharon. That's it. See, that's how you it's always, like I always told him too, in Harrisburg, everybody's cousin in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I never understood that. Maybe both of y'all can help me with this. The Hill Uptown thing. A lot of y'all was related, correct?
Yeah. Oh,
what was the whole? Was it a pride thing, or was it just like we all ain't shit? Bro. So let's just feel like we're the better shit because we live uptown, and you guys are worse shit because y'all live in the projects.
Bro,
what was that friction?
Bro. It was conditioned, passed down condition, and it's still that way because there was cousins, families killing families.
That's what I don't get.
That's just how it was. Like, and it's not just. It's just not Harrisburg. That's something that we do.
Yeah, that's
you want to know my first. That was one of my first culture shocks too when I came here. When it was like, where you live? You live in the Hill Uptown? I was like, I don't know the difference. They was like, well, where do you live? I was like, I live on State Street. They were like, oh, you live on the hill. Then they all got like disappointed because I guess I was in there. I was in that house
cool with them, and then
with all uptown cats and shit. So then they just started fucking with me sort of indirectly. Some of them didn't, but some of them did and shit. Now when I see some of them motherfuckers, I want to kick them in their face, but but then they do worse than me now, so I'm like, I won.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny how you can hold little grudges like that, or sometimes it'll still make you feel some type of way. Some shit when you was little.
I tell my kids though. It's something I tell my kids. Like, just pay the ones that act like that. Just let them be. I promise you.
Watch what they evolve into.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They always get their just due.
So it's
karma. Yeah, it's really bad. I'll tell you off mic who this is, but it was a dude that had all the Fresh Call Canai when we was in school, all the Fresh Call colors. He shopped at a TiVo, and what was the name of the store upstairs? Merry Go Round?
Yep.
Merry Go Round. Yep. He had all that fly shit, and the other day he was begging for money to catch the bus. I was like, damn.
Crazy.
Damn, homie. And
but they was
you was the man.
They was poured in too. Their parents just paid for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
when kids that grew up with their grandparents around here, did they get spoiled by their grandparents or something? Because I know a couple of cats that did. Their grandparents bought them everything.
I know some that were like that.
Was it like to make up for the fuck up that they did for the original kids?
Yeah, they were just able to because we were in that that position, so to say. So it's like, I think for me, I wore what I want. So like I wore LA Gears. I wore the light ups when they came out. I still wore them anyway. And plus we were 13, 14 deep, so wasn't nobody coming and be like, look at you, because we won't hop on you.
Right.
People knew with us, we were so deep. So anybody that was broke, poor, wore the same jeans twice, three, ain't nobody gonna say nothing to them because you gotta fight all of us, and that's how we. So like for my crew of people, we didn't worry about clothes and like we wore each other's stuff and did stuff like that.
But
we were so deep that if you said anything, you just had to fight every single.
Well, that's where y'all unity part came in.
Yeah, so that helped us.
See, I didn't have that.
So that helped us in that phase of being picked on or things like that because you had to fight all of us.
Because
you seen us, you could look at us and say they don't care about clothes. They ain't worried about that.
And then even then too, like I didn't know what Jamaicans were. When I seen Tetroid and all that,
and
the Land Cruiser and all that. I got cool with them earlier through Doula, but I was like, oh okay, and they a little different, and they don't take no shit either. And they could scrap.
During that time, I ran with his TT.
TT, So I think I graduated with was the younger sister's name.
Yep.
Fuck, what was her name? She graduated with honors too. She was a brainiac too. Shit, shout out to her.
Yeah.
Shit. I don't know, but when my thing in school around here was mainly just trying to get the fuck out of it.
Yeah, so
but when my brother came home, that's when shit started changing too, and he was like, nah, yo, like he used to kind of like bark on my mom, like, yo, they can't go to school dressed like that, and then so he was trying to give us swag or something, you know what I mean? Like, no, y'all gotta rock this or whatever. And then he was boosting and still, because he was fiend.
Yeah.
So he was down here stealing, ripping, and running and shit. And that's when I realized that when you go to the wall out the East Mall, that long ass strip connected to the tape, that wasn't an alarm. It was just a long piece to make it inconvenient. I seen him literally while he's talking go just like this, like so and then we walk right out. I was like, that's not an alarm. He's like, nah, they just do that shit to inconvenience you. So he just went and broke that shit off. 11th and 12th grade, I used to run with Hungry. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Puerto Rican Hungry, Jonathan Martinez.
I would have to see him.
He's the one that won the car for the perfect attendance, and then he stood on top of it, and it was in the paper, and he was like this. Y'all remember that? He graduated the same year you did. But we would go to the mall every day. I went to Riverside too. By the way, in the mornings, so I didn't get the full high school experience. So for those young kids, there used to be a school when they actually gave a shit about giving y'all something good. There used to be a school called Riverside Arts Magnet School. So if you was good at drawing, you could go to that school half the day or for at least the first 3 periods, go back to John Harris and finish off your day. Then 11th and 12th grade, that was, and then 9th and 10th grade, 9th and 10th, you'd go in the morning. 11th and 12th grade, you'd go in the afternoon. You'd go all the way up until lunch at regular school, and then you go over there. So with all the Riverside cats going over there, after school, me and Hungry would catch the bus, go out to the mall, and steal as many fucking tapes as we got. I still have Timberland boxes full of tapes in alphabetical order. That's where all my hip-hop shit come from. I got probably every single one of these albums on here. Speaking of which, here, hold on. See? Y'all don't see it? This is, I call this my top 25. These are like my top 25 albums that raised me, shaped me, made me think about shit. So, as you can see, you got to put Scarface on it because you grew up down here. The P-Rock and CL, Eric B. Rakim, Ray, Pun, Hove, Gangstar really was the first one, though, that did it.
For you?
I was just hearing shit. I started listening to Gangstar. That after Gangstar, I didn't believe in the Bible no more, like that. Or Karis One came out with that song called Higher Level where he broke down kind of like the Bible. I didn't believe none of that Jehovah's Witness shit afterwards. I was like, yo, I don't believe in none of this. I'm just going because of you because I don't want to get my ass whooped, mommy. It kind of, that's why I always say hip-hop to me is like the ultimate unifier, and it can school you and train you, at least the era we grew up in. Because of that, I learned more about like, oh, okay, it ain't just always Christopher Columbus discovered America and George Washington and all that. They weren't great men. They were fucking conquerors. You know what I mean? So it's like all that you wouldn't know unless you follow, unless you stick with your blinders on of what America's taught you. And that's where hip hop to me was like the ultimate ear to shit. Like a kid growing up now, though, it won't school them. But back then, like with the drug shit, crack is whack and everything. They was telling you not to take none of that shit. Whereas now they push you towards it. And it's funny. I wouldn't be surprised if, like the song Molly Perkins said, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Pharma gave Future like, here goes $10 million just for promoting our shit.
That would be crazy.
Or gave it to the record company thinking it was going to give it to him. That's to me the beauty of the hip hop that we grew up on. I know I sound like the old man when I say that, the hip hop we grew up on, but it was really training you. Like Jay-Z taught me street shit about New York. I learned the New York subway system from a song called Transit Ride that Guru had on the Jasmine Taz album. He spoke about every single train. Take the J train, the D or the A if you did, and the 2, 3, 4, and 5 also comes in. Like, you could learn how to take the subway off of a fucking song in New York and shit. Okay. Like, to me, it schooled me and trained me where my parents failed. Okay. And sometimes I leaned into it super, super heavy, and sometimes I didn't, you know? Okay. But, like, how they used to, how, like, certain cats, like the Charlemagne's and stuff, they'll be like, oh, yeah, but even back then we were saying bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. But they wasn't talking about bitches, because if you really listen to the song, the first verse is talking about Eazy-E being a bitch. The second one was talking about Snoop getting cheated on by a chick that was fucking his cousin. So, yeah, she's a bitch. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like bitches ain't shit. Yeah, they like just took it like, women, yeah, it wasn't really like that.
That's how they wanted to make it.
Right. Of course. And that's why Pac too, though, this city will make you love Pac. Yeah, to me, his best album was Strictly for My Niggas, to be honest with you.
That's one of my favorite. I love all his albums, but that's my favorite.
That's Strictly for My Niggas. He will school you on a lot of shit. Yeah, and think about it. He was 21 years old talking about child pregnancy, a girl having an abortion, like having a baby and throwing the baby in a dumpster and all that at 20 years old. The 20-year-old now is like, I'm a person. I'm a person. Yeah. Circle the block with a stick. Then you just suck on my dick. Yeah, and it's like, yo, yeah. And then, oh yeah, you're the GOAT. Yeah. Everybody go. You're the GOAT after what album or a song that everybody like. Yeah. So to me, I don't know. That's why I'm always, me and him, we talk this hip hop shit. Yeah. I look at it like a religion. Like, I never got into sports and teams too. That was another problem I had when I came here. They were like, "What's your squad? What's your squad?" I was like, "I ain't into sports." What? Yeah. You're not into sports. It was like, where are you from? Boston. It was like, oh, you like the Patriots, the Celtics, and Red Sox. That's it. And I was like, sure. I don't care. I didn't keep up with stats. My stats was the hip hop stats. Who got the 4 mics in the source? Who got the quotable? You know what I mean? Who's the illest dude on the mixtape? Or who could finally beat Tretch? Right. Then I still remember 8th grade, Spice One's first album came out. He was like, yo, I found somebody who could beat Tretch. He was like, listen to the Spice One. She was like, the giggity gangsta. It was just the delivery of it that made, I don't know, I kind of followed Tone. Shout out to Tone, because he schooled me. Yeah. You know, and it was more about deliveries and flows too. On top of that, the trigger got no heart and all that shit, because he rapped kind of like on some reggae shit. Right. In certain songs and shit. So
had me going there and listening.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and then this guy came out. Where's he at? Where is he at? This motherfucker came out and changed shit.
Yeah, Redman.
Oh, that's my dude. Redman came out when
changed the game.
When I first started smoking.
Game changer.
Oh my goodness.
Redman was crazy.
In ninth grade too, when I first went, John Harris crossover, the EPMD album with crossover on it and Headbanger.
Whenever you need.
Everybody was playing that, and I remember to this day when they reopened up Reservoir Park, when they remade it. The infamous album drop must have been like the day before. Every single Audi, every single Blazer, even the one with the Porsche kit, with the Ferrari kit, every car was banging a song off the infamous. That was like
when that joint dropped. It
did it, and you couldn't hide away and say, "Oh, you only like the South shit," then because Mobb Deep was universal.
Definitely.
That motherfucking album, man, changed a lot of shit.
That was one of my favorite albums.
Yeah. So Dan, we talked about hip hop, but we running out of some time. But we
want you. I'm sorry if I go off on a lot of tangents. I apologize.
Do not apologize. You were okay. Yes. But I do want to ask you about the podcast, because you're on the podcast. So let's talk about the podcast.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah. Okay. For those of you who grew up with me, or it was like, oh yeah, it's the quiet nigga with the big nose from whatever, from school. Everybody knows I was quiet and shy, to the point that I used to get marked absent because I was just so quiet.
Okay.
That's crazy, because since I've known you, you've been running your fucking mouth.
Exactly. Continue. I'm making up for it now. So in pandemic era, I've been a fan of the very first hip hop podcast is Juan Epstein. A lot of people say it's Combat Jack. That's not true. Even Combat Jack, with God rest his soul, will tell you Juan Epstein with Peter Rosenberg and Sife. That was the first podcast, the Juan Epstein. But I've been watching podcasts ever since they started coming out. Let's say 2014, maybe even 2012 was when Juan Epstein. It was still in the MySpace days.
Okay.
And I didn't know what a podcast was. It was just two dudes talking hip hop shit, so I liked it. Yeah. And all the shit kept growing, and the Joe Budden shit came, and then to me that's like the number one right now. But So I was just like, you know what? I can do this. So one day, my nephew, he had one down in Florida and shit. He had a podcast, and I was like, yo, how do you do that? And I just simply asked him, and he ran me through the kind of mic I needed, Scarlett, get the Scarlett interface. And I was like, fuck it. On, April 20th, 2020, I did episode 1 of the Don't Overthink It podcast. And I got the name from, you know Premium Pete?
Nah.
He used to be the B mic to Combat Jack. He used to be the Italian kid that you would hear on the Combat Jack show. It used to be.
Yeah, I listen to Combat Jack.
Yeah, the Italian dude that you would hear on there is Premium Pete. He had an episode where he was asking Chris Monroe, who runs the podcast network that they got, that Combat Jack had, and he was like, yo, if you want to start a podcast, he was like, what pointers do you give to people? And he was like, look, if you want to start a podcast, just don't overthink it and just do it.
Okay.
Bang! The light went off right then and there. I said, okay, that's what I'm going to call it. My nephew, he does videography and stuff, the one I'm going to introduce you to him. And he came up with a logo for me. I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it.
Okay.
Bang. I just started recording myself first. Then Dula came on. And once he heard himself, he was like, yo, son, we got to keep doing this shit, son.
Okay.
So then he became my co-host. And we've been off to the races ever since.
All right,
I'm about 108 episodes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to have you on, and you could, say a little prayer. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna come in with a Jehovah.
You can come in with a watchtower.
Yeah.
Watchtower. There you go.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
But we running out of time.
Oh, how long do y'all podcasts run to? Let me pick y'all brain real quick.
We run an hour. Yep.
And that's it?
Yeah.
Yep.
People's attention span.
Yeah. Some people. Yeah. Key to y'all podcasters, if they're too long, just listen to them while you're shopping. Just throw headphones on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
just listen to it while you're walking around doing whatever you do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we like to thank
you,
my man Dominican Johnny. Dominican Johnny, baby.
Yeah. I'm sorry I don't talk it like this.
Nah, you good, bro.
I'm sorry I don't talk it like this, and I don't need plátano todo el tiempo. Yo no lo como todo el tiempo, coño. Oh,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't listen to Aventura 24/7. I'm a hip hop kid, but I'm Dominican.
He's definitely a hip hop kid since day one, since I met him anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this has been another episode of Quit the Cat Podcast.
Yes,
it's your boy BP
yes,
alongside the Bishop. You know where we
sir.
at. Shout out to my man Dominican Johnny for coming through and sitting down with us and chopping up with us today on the podcast.
Yes.
Hey, you know where to follow us at. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff.
Don't
Until next
Overthink It
time.
Podcast.
Yep.
Don't Overthink It Podcast. It's on Instagram. You can follow me, Dominican Johnny 717, or literally Don't Overthink It Podcast on Instagram.
All right.
You heard it here first. Till next time, people. Peace.
Peace to the game.
Peace to the game. Peace to the game. And welcome to Quit the Cat Podcast.